This is Garden Talk with Equal Ground Community Gardens in Brantford, and this information comes compliments of Linda Ford. So thanks very much, Linda. We're going to be talking about vegetable growing today and just getting things going. It's that time of year. If you're not sure if your soil is ready to plant, whether it's too moist or whether it's too dry, what you can do is actually take some soil in your hand and ball it up into a ball, squeeze it in. If it crumbles and falls apart, you're probably good to go in terms of planting. If it sticks together, it's probably a little too wet actually, and so you actually maybe want to hold off another couple of days until that soil hopefully is able to dry out a little bit. You might have a bit more success with your seeds. Then once you get them in, then you water them. If you are putting plants in that have already been grown from seed, and so they've been in a greenhouse, and you got some, for example, some tomato plants or some basil, and you've got them in little bits of soil in a container, what you want to do is actually put those in level in your garden box. Okay, so take that plant along with this soil out of its container and then put it in a little hole in your garden box. Make that level with the rest of the soil. That's what's going to make that thrive the best if you do that. You can try planting edible flowers around some of your herbs and your vegetables, and that actually keeps the bugs under control. And some of these edible flowers that are really great for doing that are nasturtiums, calendula, sweet violets, and actually lavender. And lavender you might think of as a herb, but it will flower quite nicely. Beautiful little purple herbs, purple flowers that bring off a nice smell. Those will actually keep the bugs down. Marigolds are also great. Nice little tip that Linda's given us today about lettuce. If you plant half a row of lettuce and 2 weeks later plant more lettuce, you'll actually be able to spread out your harvest. Lettuce doesn't last very long. It's not like we can freeze it, and so it also goes to flower quite easily as well. And so to get the most out of your lettuce plants, plant a couple first, and then a couple of weeks later plant more. That way, once those are gone to flower, the other ones are starting to grow, and you're not getting way too much that you have to waste, and you're also not waiting for more wonderful lettuce to come up for your salads that you're going to put your edible flowers in. What else can I say here? Linda talks about intercropping, which basically you mix fast maturing crops with slower growing crops. So for example, you'd plant lettuce or cilantro seeds in between your tomato plants. So I'll say that again, you want to plant your tomato plants and put your lettuce and your cilantro, which we've got loads of, in between those plants. The lettuce is going to get harvested before the tomatoes even grow. So you're going to be making use of the space there. Because I know the garden boxes, they're great, but they're not the biggest things ever. You do want to make sure you get a lot of space. And speaking of space, you can actually grow things vertically and upward if you want. And you're going to have to be careful with your community gardens, but especially with your home gardens. You can grow cucumbers and green beans and peas upward. For example, with the cucumbers, they're going to grow into a vine, and you can actually elevate them in whatever way makes the most sense to you. Use your creative juices. And those cucumbers can actually set on top of things that are elevated and continue to grow from the soil, from their roots. In terms of green beans and peas, a really popular thing to do is actually get string. A lot of people tend to use hemp string for this, and they'll take the hemp string and string it up somewhere onto a shed nearby, something like that, or even poles. And those peas and green beans, you can just keep watching every few days or every week or so, and you encourage them into the string, and they'll start to grow up that string, and what you'll get are these beautiful little beans coming up along that string. You just pick them off vertically. Makes a really, really nice, beautiful vegetable garden in terms of space, and really, really helps in terms of just making things more fun, really. Linden Hills did a good job of this last year. You can also practice succession planting, and what that means is this year, if you're planting things like greens like arugula, or if you're planting radishes, which most of you probably are, or something like spinach, the next year, when you're planting in that same space, try to plant your peas in that area, or your cucumbers, your beans, or your eggplants. And then the year after that, plant your broccoli and your lettuce. So make a note, put it on your calendar. You can also practice crop rotation, which is going to help our soil stay really nice and healthy and happy for next year. and the year after. For example, if you're planting things from the cabbage family, so cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower, the next year you want to plant tomato family stuff. So tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers in that same spot. And just keep rotating those things so that that soil doesn't get depleted of certain nutrients. Things go back in and it's balanced for the next crop. And that's all. Thank you very much, Linda. We very much appreciate you and your information. Have fun in your garden, guys.